Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I feel like a massive boomer. What often will happen when OBS gets updated is it'll reset all the inputs. I don't really know why it does that, why it can't just save them, but for whatever reason, it resets well, like I said, all the inputs. So you just missed. Rain was being a detractor. So basically, she spent the entire morning clawing at and biting at the treat bag, and she'd managed to make a hole in it. So I felt she kind of deserved a reward for her persistence. So I threw her a couple treats, and she just jumped off of my desk and knocked a big bottle of pills over. So I was just cleaning those up because I was worried she'd like try to eat them or something, and that would probably kill her. So that being said, lots to talk about today. So first thing is the whole Cairo views. So I'm still not 100% sure about the name of it. Um, I'm kind of on the fence because I like it, but I'm worried it might just be like too goofy or too retarded or something like that. Um, so the idea behind it is I was talking to Absolute Defender, and he was saying that while a lot of people like that I cover everything on my channel, other people get annoyed because it's kind of hard to find stuff. Because I do have a number of people who find my channel and will watch the various media reviews, but they don't want to see the political stuff, or the political stuff scares them off. But he also took the perspective that, um, sorry, I'm kind of feeling retarded today, that I could probably reach a wider audience if I posted less often and I did like a dedicated media channel. So I'm thinking of doing Cairo reviews as the second one. So that's just going to be for edited content, and it's going to be from a right wing Christian perspective, but not like purely political in the same way. So I'm strongly considering that. The other thing is, eventually my main channel's probably going to get shut down during one of the purges, and that alternative thing might be easier. So I'm just thinking about that. I started recording a video for it actually. I'm going to do a remake of my sci fi pulsi, the New Order video. So that's going to be edited, and I'm also trying to figure out whether or not to have scripting or how to deal with that. Um, Because as you may or may not have known if you watch me for any length of time, I am horrible at reading things out loud. So I don't think scripting everything would work. But what I could probably do is just write notes, and I could write notes in like point form, and I could just film it in segments. So I don't do the whole thing in one take. I just do each individual part, and if I really screw up, I just restart. So it's just something I'm thinking about. I'm leaning towards giving it a try, maybe for a year or something. I'd only be able to put out maybe I'd only be able to maybe put out one or two videos a month, but we'll take a peek at it. So that is the first thing. I guess kind of if people are wondering what my life is like at the moment. So I'm still unemployed. I'm just focusing on doing schoolwork. I've actually got some contract work I've started to do. I obviously don't talk about what I do for a living, but I'm a white collar professional. So I'm able to do some contract work over the internet, which isn't a ton of money, but it's better than nothing. So I'm unfortunately going to have to move back in with my parents for a while, which I mean, I don't like it doesn't really bother me that much. That's just kind of the reality. A lot of people are having to do that in the time of COVID. Um, it's just kind of the sad reality of the situation. Guilty Spark asks, just curious, since I'm playing through DS3 right now, while getting ready for the DS remake, what do you think is the most memorable, difficult boss in the DS3 series? Um, um, actually, there's a mod for DS3 that I think is actually better than vanilla called Cinders. So Cinders adds a whole bunch of different stuff to it. Um, it adds regenerating mana. So what it does is spells take a lot more mana to use, but your mana also regenerates, and it just adds a lot more play styles. Like if you take the cleric class, I think it is, you start off with a lot of HP and items that have high HP regeneration, but you have virtually no defense, so you have to HP tank, which is kind of interesting. Um, Also, they made the enemies a lot harder to counteract the increased number of items that do HP regen or the increased number of items that do MP regen. So I actually prefer it to the base game by quite a bit. And I actually finished the game. I soloed every boss except for Dark Eater Midir. So the best bosses. So my favorite boss is probably Lothric and Lorien, just because of how much I love the music. Lothric and Lorien I thought was a good boss. I think it's a very fair boss. I don't know if I'd call Lothric and Lorien. It's fairly difficult, but not super difficult. Um, so I think that's a good boss. Also, I just like the thematic nature of it because it's my favorite area in the game is like the boss run up to Lothric and Lorien because they have like the shattered remains of the Lothric army trying to desperately defend their prince. And it's really kind of feels like the end of the game because you've blown through all the other defenses, and this is kind of the last place where they've been um, they're hiding. So we have that. We also have the Nameless King. I think is really good. The Dark Souls item descriptions always have really good, uh, like, are very poetic. Like I like how it says a nameless king who was once a dragon slaying god of war, but sacrificed everything to side with the ancient dragons. Like it's just a really cool fight because you're like floating in the clouds, and that kind of thing. I actually think the Nameless King's a pretty fair boss fight. I don't really regard it as being the hardest. The Nameless King was a good boss fight. Dancer of the Boreal Valley was an interesting boss fight. I'm not sure if you want to call it a good or bad boss fight, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. Pontiff Sullivan was pretty good. I don't know if I've rated as one of the best. Dark Souls 3 generally had the best bosses. DS2, they went for quantity over quality. I do like Throne Washer and Throne Defender just because of the flavor text on their items. I think the worst boss in the Souls series that's not like a joke boss or a gimmick boss might be Slumbering Dragon Sind. Just because of him constantly like flying away and stuff like that. He's really annoying. Um, so I dislike him. The Fume Knight is a troll boss, but it's kind of fun. Um, I couldn't solo the Fume Knight. I had to use summons for that. I know the bosses in DS2 were just not very good in general. There's a lot of really bad bosses you had to go up against. I'm trying to think if there's any other good ones. Vendrick was thematically interesting. Nashandra was a joke for an end of game boss. Uh, yeah, Aldrich is a cool boss. I actually find Aldrich fairly difficult in DS3. I normally die on him a couple times just because he has a lot of moves that have a very wide hit range. You obviously have Ornstein and Smo, which is a good boss fight. Nito, I just found really easy. I think the worst boss fight in the entire series. Um, I can't parry. I've never been able to figure out parrying. Oh, Gwyn. Gwyn is a great boss fight because it's just a duel basically. I actually died a lot on Gwyn because I can't parry, and Gwyn's actually fairly difficult if you can't parry, just because of how ultra aggressive he is. But I'd say the worst boss is either the Dragon God or the Bed of Bullshit. Because I actually got a PS3 just to play Persona 5 and Demon Souls. So I really enjoyed, I forget what it's called, the boss that's like the Sky Manta. That you have the Storm Ruler and you have to like fire at it when it's up in the sky and you can like hide behind stuff. That was a fun boss. Um, I did not like the Phalanx just because you couldn't level up before that. I actually found Demon Souls to be the, I guess you could say, the easiest of them. It was just kind of glitchy. It's funny because most people seem to think that the Flame Lurker was the hardest boss in the game. But when I was playing it, he got stuck on the environment. No, I was hiding behind cover and he was clipping through the environment. And I was a caster and I just kept shooting the body parts that were clipping through the environment. So I beat him no trouble. He has the, I think, worst boss run of any boss in the Souls franchise. It was absolutely horrendous to go up against him. Let me see here. Where did I put my phone? I feel like I had my phone somewhere around here. Oh, there it is. Let me just grab that. What was I thinking of? So when I was doing Demon Souls, I went for, I think it's the Royal class. It's the class that starts out with HP regen, which is extremely useful because you start out with mana regen. So I played mostly as a caster class in that game. I actually, because I never played caster before, I always played just two-handed heavy weapon build. But caster is a lot easier, at least for me, because I'm shit at parrying. So I found it pretty easy. Um, I think one of my favorite levels might be, I forget what it was called in Demon Souls. The one that's like the Lovecraftian nightmare where you're like up in the big towers. That level was really cool. I just don't remember exactly what it's called. I'm sure someone will post what it is in chat. I actually didn't find the swamp that hard because I did it last, and I had gotten the HP regen ring by that point in time. So it largely, yeah, that wasn't too difficult. So I hope that answered the question about Dark Souls. Oh, the Cinders mod also adds in, because you can't play online with it. So the Cinder mod adds in the losing my train of thought here. They give you summon stones, so like you get a summon stone that'll summon Solaire whenever you want, or I think Witch Beatrice, and you can characters with it, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And it added a whole bunch of new weapons and armors. I think my favorite one is it added in the what's it called again? The Four Kings Greatsword. So it's which looks really badass. So So there's that stuff. If anybody wants me to talk about anything, just bring it up. I hadn't done a stream like this in a while. The what's it called is back up again. The Adamson barbecue. It got attacked. It got shut down for like they claim what it was that it was violent and that they had to take it down because of how violent it was. Um, so then I appealed it and I said there's no violence in this beyond just a guy getting arrested. And then literally 15 minutes later, the it got undone. So I just wanted to do another here. Let me just try something. Um, Give me 1 second. Someone's called. Let's see. Push Mongo the sixth says, Argent, I found your channel a month ago and I really enjoy your videos. Thanks, I really appreciate it. That makes my day. I was wondering what your stance is on Paul Miller, aka Gypsy Crusader. I have no idea who that is. Sorry. Maybe make another historical video similar to Siege of Malta. There's been one I've been wanting to do about the Russian economy post 1990. I just haven't gotten around to it because I read a book called Putonomics, which I thought was pretty interesting. So there's that aspect to it. Um, what was I talking about again? I lost my train of thought. So regarding the election, I'm no, the stream's back. I was just fiddling around with. No, it should be back. It was just fiddling around with my internet settings to try to get it to stream properly. So it should be working now. So let's see here. What else have I been doing? I've also been doing. Let's Go Pikachu is on sale, so I got Let's Go Pikachu, which I've been kind of wanting to play for a long time, but I couldn't justify spending like $8,000 on it. I think it's not bad. My biggest issue with it is it's not compatible with any external controller. So it's either you either have to use one-handed controller, which is incredibly shitty, or you have to play it in mobile mode. So, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's just kind of dumb. Um, it's kind of really dumb, but I mean, I guess it kind of is what it is. So, I don't know why my internet is shit today. Let me see if there's anything I can turn off to speed it. I'll turn off Steam, maybe that'll help. Okay, let me know if that's working better now. So what happened is, so my internet has 5G and non 5G on it, and my wireless printer is only compatible with the non 5G. So I had to switch it to the non 5G, and I forgot to switch it back, so that the speed was just shit. It's really fucking annoying, though. Um, Printers are maybe the worst piece of technology I've ever seen. Printers are shit. Okay, people post in the chat your bad printer experiences or whether you think printers are shit. Because there's something that, like, gets worse and worse over time, I find. Am I watching any current anime right now? So I was trying to watch Agame La Kill or whatever it's called, and it's just so it's like it's even more try hard edgy than like Future Diary, and even more try hard edgy than like Compulsive Gambler. So I just couldn't get through it because it was so cringy. It wasn't bad in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot of fan service and stuff, but it's just not very good. Uh, so I've been trying to watch Agame the Kill. That didn't work out. I was trying to watch Toradora, but I just really, really, really hate Taiga. I like Ame quite a bit. I even because I was curious to see like a bit more about her character, so I was playing the. There was actually a Toradora visual novel that was released on PSP, so I was playing a ROM of that, and it didn't really have anything in it, even for the Ami route. But I like her a lot more than Taiga. I couldn't get through Toradora just because Taiga is so obnoxious. A lot of people like her. I don't know why, because she looks like a child. She looks like a prepubescent girl, and she's a complete cunt. And I don't think there's enough reason for it because a lot of people like Asuka, and Asuka's a bitch. Like Asuka's a really bad person. I'm not going to pretend, but there's logical reasons for why she is the way she is. Whereas I don't really think there are for uh, Taiga to nearly the extent. But I liked Ame a lot. I think my favorite part of Toradora is I like the MC a lot. There's a character in a lot of romantic comedies. I'd say in you could probably say what's it called again? Excel World. And you never thought there was a girl online. Uh, the Ken Kanojo and the Real Girl. A bunch of romantic comedies where you have like the main character is just like a delta male. He's just a really solid stand-up guy. Um, who's just really likable and he's reasonably smart, but just the girl falls for him because he's just such a reliable, nice guy. And I've always kind of liked that aspect of it. Um, so there's that. I also started watching Sonic X. So I feel kind of bad because when I was younger, I didn't ever really watch Sonic X. I watched the first episode, and I didn't like Christopher. I thought that he was going to be like complete obnoxiousness, but the show actually doesn't really revolve around him, and he doesn't really bother me. So I'm actually enjoying Sonic X a lot. That was back when they had like the old voice actors. It's too bad what's his name had died, who was playing Robotnik, but the guy they got to replace him was really good. So I am enjoying Sonic X quite a bit. So there's that aspect of it. So the election. So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty white pilled about the election. Stuff seems to be moving. I'll get back to movies in a minute. I'm just going to do some election updates. So stuff seems to be moving pretty rapidly over the course of the election. So if I had to guess, it looks like there's a decent chance in Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, it's pretty much so. What happened in Wisconsin is, or maybe let's just take a step back. So people are talking of trying to gaslight you into thinking that all the lawsuits got thrown out. So I don't think any of the lawsuits have actually gotten thrown out on evidentiary grounds. So like I don't think that they got thrown out on the grounds that there wasn't enough evidence or the case wasn't relevant. Most courts have either ruled they don't have standing or they don't have the authority to rule on these things. Um, the alternative is that they come up with some procedural reason to dismiss it, like you filed too late, you filed too early, that sort of thing. So I think what's probably going to happen in most cases is it's going to get to either the state or federal Supreme Court. In Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court said that Trump's case was pretty much um, going to go through, or that they had a very strong case. They just rejected it because they didn't follow the procedure properly. It had to go through some random lower court first. So yeah, so there's that thing. So if it goes back, then they'll probably win it. They're going to do an audit of signatures in Georgia. They don't really need to throw out too many ballots to flip it. I think Pennsylvania is trying to decertify. I think Michigan is the least likely to go. But Trump really only needs Arizona, Wisconsin, and Georgia to win. So I think he still has a decent chance. I think this thing is far from over. Rudy has gotten the. I'm just kind of on the trust the plan bandwagon. Rudy's a smart guy. He seems to know what he's doing. Um, I was talking to Charlemagne. He was saying that the what's it called is peak optics. That the hearings are peak optics, and they are doing really good. Like I think Rudy's done a really good job. Wait, what's F? Why are people saying press F? I think I'm still streaming. Is there something wrong with the stream? I just whenever people start pressing F, I don't know what that means. Uh, I don't know. Like it looks like. Let me just check my own stream. Oh, okay. So it's okay. So it's working again. What was I thinking of again? Um, I thought I had gotten shut down for a minute because of because I was talking about the election. Go back to topics. Stop regressing. Well, then don't press F in the chat and make me think that the stream went down. So where was I? So the election. Yeah. So Charlemagne was saying that it was peak optics because Rudy did a good job. Like if you look at it, pretty much all the people that he picked were like really credible people. Like there was that one Indian woman from Detroit who had three children who were all medical doctors, and it's like that's a really good witness. There's that woman who was the nurse. The nurse was like the nurse was like sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. Your urine sample shouldn't be less secure than no, your ballot shouldn't be less secure than your urine sample. All that kind of stuff. Someone saying trust the plan, the numbers, Argento, what do they mean? Where are they broadcast from? I don't know what you're talking about. So you have that. You have video that's starting to come out, basically proving the electoral fraud took place. I don't know. I think it's. I think there's a real possibility of this thing getting overturned. I think it doesn't really matter to a certain extent. I think that I think that regardless of whether or not Trump can win, like you have to keep fighting. If nothing else, it's really delegitimizing the whole thing. It's Trump support anything that keeps Trump supporters from giving up and accepting Biden as legitimate president. I think is the best thing that can be done at this point in time. And I see all these like Zoomers. No, not sorry, not Zoomers. These Doomers who are like, "Oh, we got to give up. Oh, these people are coping." It's just they're just such fucking. They're really obnoxious. I just really can't stand them. It's like the. It's kind of funny because Serp said to me, Argent, I don't think I'm a fascist anymore because all the fascists on Twitter seem to be massive pussies who are like, oh, Trump lost the election. Oh, you just have to figure it out. You have to just stop coping with it and that sort of thing. Virile Journey says, you think more footage will come out from other states like Michigan? It came out for Georgia, which is actually what's triggering the audit there. So, so the thing that I came up with, because a bunch of people with the people who are like, we have to give up, that sort of thing, is basically their logic. Because I saw some people and like Keith Woods and Richard Spencer were saying this on the stream that I was on with them, and they were saying, "Oh, once Trump's gone, Biden will leave us alone. Tech will stop the social media censorship. We just have to embrace Biden, and the Democrats and like they'll everything will work out." And I'm like, that's the logic of that is if a guy's gonna rape you, it's like I'll give you a blowjob if you don't give it to me up the ass. Like, is that really like the standard that we're supposed to hold ourselves to? It's just really obnoxious. So I don't know what to say. It's just a shit show. So there's that stuff. I'm trying to think what else has been happening. There's some other animes I've been trying to be watching. Let me just open my Netflix and take a look at what I've been trying to watch. I tried watching Angel Beats, and I just found Angel Beats like not good. I tried watching God Eater, and God Eater I just found very generic and not good. I watched Grand Blue Fantasy, which was not bad. The funny thing about Grand Blue Fantasy is how they have Joseph Joestar's voice actor in it. He's just a lot of fun. Mm, so I don't know. People haven't asked me to talk about Kill la Kill very much lately. Uh, Kill la Kill is garbage. Kill la Kill is horrible. Um, ugh, it looks really really bad. And I'm not gonna watch Big Mouth even to review it. I refuse to watch Big Mouth. I might watch Ergo Proxy at some point in time. I'm not watching The Mandalorian. I think I've pretty much put my foot down on that. I'm just done with New Wars. Granted, I kind of went back on that. Um, I kind of went back on that because I played Jedi Fallen Order, which was pretty good. The thing about Jedi Fallen Order is I don't really see anything about Jedi Fallen Order that means it couldn't be part of the normal canon. Like, it's a story that I think could have been told in the EU without really any issues. So I kind of make a bit of exception, but I thought it was a pretty good game. Cal is not like that good, but he's not bad either. Um, the story's not amazing, but the game is a lot of trouble. Um, sorry, the gameplay is really good. I enjoyed it. I'm not very good at that kind of game, admittedly, so I played it on story mode. But I just enjoyed the platforming. It's one of the best platforming games I've played. Let's see here. An anime series I want to review, but I haven't gotten to yet, is Love, Chiobu, and Other Delusions, which is a really, good romantic comedy anime. I like that a lot. I need to do a review of Love, Shinobu and Other Delusions. Um, I liked it a lot. I've just never been able to get into any of the Fate stuff. The Fate stuff is just so massive. Like, there's so much shit in it, and it's just really confusing and nonsense. I tried watching No Game No Life, but I didn't really like the canon pairing in it and the incest in it. I don't know if are Shiro and Sora not actually biological siblings. 'Cause I think they are biological siblings, and their relationship is kind of gross. I actually really liked what's her name in No Game No Life. The princess, and I kind of shipped her with Sora. Stephanie. I actually like Stephanie quite a bit, but also it seemed to be heading in a harem direction. It's funny because in Jedi Fallen Order, Cal was supposed to be female, but no one liked Rey, so they didn't want to introduce another female Jedi. Who's the MC again in Fate? If someone could write his name, because I really hate him. He's a massive pussy. He's really, really annoying. Also, it's just I don't know. There's a thing in anime where there's like the protagonist who's like surrounded by hot women and he doesn't seem to really realize it. I don't know if he's asexual or what it is, but Fate is just really slow. I just think it's inferior to Tsukahime in pretty much every way. I do like Rin a lot though. Um, yeah, Emiya, that's his name. I really hate Emiya. I like Shiki way more than Emiya. Um, Let me think. I need to watch Food Wars at some point. I'm just looking at what's on Netflix. Netflix actually has a pretty good range of anime. I'll give it that, if nothing else. Uh, I've just never been able to get into a lot of the really long shonen series. Probably the only one I've really been watched in the last year or two was JoJo. I'm at part four in JoJo, but yeah. Also, Rin is Catholic, at least nominally, which is awesome. What was I thinking of again? What else have I seen lately? Yeah, so in JoJo, I'm on uh, part four, I think it is, with uh, Josuke. I think part four is the best by like a considerable margin, if only because of Yukako. But I think JoJo fits slice of life better than it does something like Stardust Crusaders. I did like Stardust Crusaders though. It had so much filler in it. I think that Stardust Crusaders was too long. I don't think that. I think alcohol's involved with creating JoJo. I don't think that that drugs are involved. But I feel like the guy who makes it probably gets drunk and is just he like gets drunk and he's like listens to random pop, like random rock and metal songs, and then he just writes based on whatever the random song is he's listening to on that particular day. Because a lot of the stuff in JoJo, it doesn't feel like it was written by a guy on drugs. It feels like it was written by someone who was like really drunk when he wrote it. But I don't know. JoJo's not bad. It is like the most Chad thing of all time. Also, I mean, I have to do a poll sometime on who's the best mommy GF. Lisa's up there, and Guinevere is up there. Am I streaming somewhere else? I don't think so. Maybe I'm streaming on Twitch or something like that. Uh, I forget if I have it dual set up or something like that. I was trying to watch Your Lie in April, but I someone spoiled the ending for me, and the ending just sounded really lame. I need to watch Gun Gale Online at some point because I really liked Sword Art Online. One of my problems is still a lot of animes they just give up on before they really get anywhere with them. Like they gave up on Maid Sama, they gave up on Excel World, stuff like that. So let me think. What movies have I watched lately? I rewatched the first Terminator movie, just to see if it's as good as everyone says it was, because I haven't watched it in like 15 years. The first Terminator movie, for what it is, like a low budget 80s sci-fi movie, was really good. Terminator 2 is probably my second favorite movie of all time, but I do really love Terminator. Terminator 2 is really good. Terminator 1's really good. Terminator 3 is a worthy sequel. I think some people, including myself, gave it shit, but after having seen like all the other stuff that was introduced, I've kind of come to appreciate it more and more over time. So I haven't seen The Expanse. Oh yeah, Waco. Waco, I need to do a review of that because I just finished watching. I just finished watching Waco, which was really good actually. It was something I really didn't know anything about prior to going in, but the movie really shits on the FBI. It makes the FBI and the U.S. government look really bad. Because like the first time I had heard about Waco, I was kind of somewhat, I didn't know the details, but I was somewhat towards the FBI side because they're like a weird cult of like a weird heretical cult. But ultimately, the U.S. government just looks like complete shit in it, and their behavior was completely and totally like reprehensible. I think the FBI honestly needs to be dissolved. Obviously, you need a federal police and intelligence force, but I think they need to shut the FBI down and start over, start from scratch, more or less. Oh yeah, I haven't. I only watch normal TV when I'm at my parents, and it's unwatchable. Just like news, the news we see online is substantially less paused than the news in on TV. TV news is atrocious, particularly Canadian TV news, which is unwatchably horrible. Yeah, the CIA and the NSA should also be disassembled. And then, like, because you need a foreign intelligence agency, you need a domestic federal police force. But as it is, I don't think it's salvageable. I think it needs to, yeah. I'm just looking at the various series that are available on Netflix. One Punch Man, I kind of thought was okay. I think Fubaki is really hot. which is probably the best aspect of it. It's not bad. It's okay. Um, I actually, for whatever reason, I kind of like rom coms more than I used to, anime ones, just because they tend to be very wholesome compared to a lot of Western rom coms. Um, oh yeah, news reporters are massive pussies. It's one of the things I hate the most about them. Let's see here. Oh yeah, TV news is awful. Um, no, I mean you need a foreign. It's the CIA is out of control and it's become a deep state and it doesn't really have government, any kind of realistic government oversight anymore. So, like I said, it just needs to be dismantled and replaced. So that stuff happened. Um, I'm just looking through my Facebook feed to see if there's any more like dank memes I can add to the montage. Yeah, I think J. Edgar Hoover actually wasn't that bad. He was really anti-communist. Um, I think other forms of sexual deviancy, but favorite Christmas movie. So in my family, pretty much every year for Easter, we watch the Ten Commandments on TV, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Great movie. If you haven't seen the Ten Commandments, I highly recommend you watch it. Any movie that has what's it called in it? Um, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, excellent movie. Really good. Um, what else is there? The Prince of Egypt is also really good. If you've never watched The Prince of Egypt, I highly recommend it. The Prince of Egypt is so awesome that God gets a villain song. Because you know the villain song's always the best scene in like the best song in the movie. So like God gets one. Um the Plagues, which I wish I could play, but I can't because it'll get this a copyright strike. But yeah, God gets a villain song, which is amazing. Also just a really good movie in general. Um Yeah, because so there's debate as to whether or not um, what's his name was gay. Uh, J. Edgar Hoover was gay. I don't know. I tend to press X to doubt whenever anyone claims that a historical personage is gay, because basically, okay, so what it is Coomers don't like the fact that there are people who aren't Coomers. It's the same way, like a lot of people hate me because I don't drink alcohol and they drink and it bothers them because they believe that their alcoholism is an addiction that they can't control. Um, that their alcoholism is something that they can't control. So the fact that they see someone who's not acting in the way they are kind of shames them. So with Coomers, basically they can't accept the idea that someone was celibate or didn't have premarital sex, and they're a woman. So so they have to try to make every historical figure who was like a Chad and celibate into some sort of like homosexual. So like the examples I normally bring up is what's his name? Charles XII of Sweden. So Charles XII of Sweden was a very deeply religious. He was a very deeply religious Lutheran. So he doesn't believe that he didn't believe in. Uh, he didn't believe in premarital sex. Um, and he just felt that he was too busy like fighting a cataclysmic war with Russia to get married. So his goal was always that he would get married when the war was over, but he wound up dying before the war was over. So they claim that because he didn't get married and he didn't have sex, he was homosexual. So there's that aspect to it. You have Charles Gordon, the or Chinese Gordon, who was celibate because he was a very devout evangelical Christian, and he didn't believe in premarital sex. And he never married because he was always off on insane adventures across the world. And he said it wouldn't be fair to his wife if because he would never be home, and she would always be wondering if he got killed on some like bizarre far off place. So there was that aspect of it. I'm trying to remember what the other one, what it is. There's a couple others. Cecil Rhodes is another guy. So Cecil Rhodes never got married or was interested in women because he was too busy conquering the world for Britain. He was just like, I'm too busy trying to establish a global Anglo empire. Cecil Rhodes is hilarious. Like, one of the things that Cecil Rhodes tried to do was the purpose of the Rhodes scholarships was to create an international, like, Anglo aligned Illuminati. So, like, a lot of. Yeah, it's because a lot of people historically were celibate for religious reasons. Like, some men are just celibate because they find women boring or they're just too busy doing other stuff. Like they're too busy with their businesses or leading armies or doing other stuff, and they're just not. Women just aren't a high priority. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being celibate. Um, but once again, it's because a lot of them are coomers and they don't like the idea that there are people who aren't coomers. So, what was I thinking about again? That was a massive digression, but it's something that gets on my nerves. I mean, there were some historical figures who were gay, like Frederick the Great, but I don't know. Why are trannies so adamant about Kwaru and Shinji being gay? Okay, so here's the thing with Kwaru and Shinji, right again. Angels have a gender, but they aren't sexual beings because they don't have bodies in the same way humans do. So angels are generally referred to. I think most angels are male, but some I think are referred to as being female. But they aren't human beings. They aren't even mammals or any sort of animal. So like just normal gender rules don't apply to them. And it probably this is probably a weird example, but huts don't have a gender or huts don't have a sex because they're slugs. So all huts are hermaphrodites, and they assign themselves a gender, male or female, based on their personality, and they use those pronouns to refer to themselves. And so it's not like a degenerate thing. It's not like some sort of trans non-gender fluid thing. It's just that their species is fundamentally different. And that's kind of how I feel about angels, that angels aren't asexual beings. part of it is also because in the context of Evangelion, angels live forever. So I'd imagine that they don't necessarily need to reproduce, at least not in the same way that humans do, because they really don't have any need to um, do anything about it. Uh, they don't need to reproduce. But there's many forms of love. Uh, Only some of them are sexual or romantic. Like a lot of the time, there was like it's kind of interesting. I think it's on the Kersey scale. If you have close male friends, it makes you more heterosexual, not less. Men just like having like intimate, close friendships with other males. I don't mean sexually, obviously, but men like to have other dudes that they can talk to, that they can hang out with, that they can share their secrets with. Men just like to be around other men and have very close relationships with them. And it's not sexual. It's just a normal thing that males do. Um, Also, Shinji's pretty obviously heterosexual. Unless we're gonna say that Shinji's bi, which there's no evidence of. Like he's definitely attracted to Asuka, Rei, and Misato. Kawaru, I think, is also just really awkward. Because I think he was raised by Sele, and he hasn't that doesn't have that much experience with other people. Also, just so he doesn't really know how to act exactly. So that sort of thing. But I don't know. I just don't see any evidence for it. Like obviously, what's his name was gay. Was a lesbian. Maya was a lesbian. Um, in some fanfics, they have Ritsuko being bi. Not so much because even she's like naturally bi, but just because she's so fucked in the head, she's just kind of reaching out to whoever will give her comfort. In the fanfic I was going to make, um, oh, the main character was going to force Gendo to marry Ritsuko so that they would stop living in sin, just because it's based. So yeah, there's also that's also like a thing in that's a thing in a lot of animes, where if any girl has like pretend to be Irini again. Okay, maybe I'll do one of those eventually. And his men were pissed he loved Afghani women. There's a lot of attractive Afghani women, to be honest. The Pashtuns are Caucasian people, so some of them are actually are fairly good looking. Um, yeah, they're part of the Caucasoid race. Alexander the Great was probably bisexual. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he was like homosexual. I think he was probably bisexual. I don't know. Like, I don't really care that much, to be honest. That was just how the ancient Greeks were. From my understanding, part of why homosexuality was so prevalent among the Greeks was it was a population sink. See, the issue that they had was that sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. The issue that they had was Greece is very mountainous, and there was not very much in the way of cropland. So Greece was always on the verge of a Malthusian collapse. And to kind of deal with that, homosexuality became rampant. It's also why there was so many Greek mercenaries, because it was a population sink, and it was a way to try to keep the birth date down. But yeah, plus homosexuality was understood differently in the ancient world. Like you weren't gay if you were giving it, but you were gay if you were taking it. Was one of the ways that it was um, understood. Let's see, I'm just thinking. Oh, like in the Lord of the Rings, so they try to claim that whatchamacallit is that Frodo and Sam are gay with absolutely no evidence of it. I mean, Sam has a crush on what's her name, Rose, and Frodo is just it's just not really an aspect of his personality, probably because he's too busy with like other stuff. So I don't know. Also, it's Tolkien, and Tolkien doesn't really like to talk about that kind of stuff. Are you okay? You've lost your train of thought like 5 times during this video. I'm fine. It's just I've been having internet troubles. Frodo and Samwise. I'm also just looking at my Facebook feed for more memes to add to this. So, that kind of thing. So there was that. There was Ellen Page became Elliot Page, which is, I mean, she wasn't the best looking girl, but she was fairly cute, and now she's some sort of weird tranny. So go figure. I think that's more or less what happens to everybody eventually. It's a really easy way to get status. So if you're like being bullied, if you just announce you're a tranny, you immediately go to the top of the social hierarchy. So it's the bullying induced transsexualism. Um, I don't know. I'm sure there's people who think Lord of the Rings is gay, but I mean Gandalf doesn't have a sexuality because he's an angel. Um, yeah, Gandalf was an angel. Um, so was Saruman. So was Sauron. So none of them would have any sort of sexual urges. Gimli obviously had a crush on a very wholesome, probably non-sexual crush, but a crush on Galadriel. Aragorn got married. I don't know about Legolas. He's an elf, and elves are just kind of weird in general. So there's no evidence of it on screen. Beyond Two Spirit, yeah. So he clearly has feelings for the elf sorceress, though. Who does? I think they put that in like the Hobbit prequels, which wasn't in the books. They just added it in because they have to sexualize everything. So, but no, Gandalf is a angel. Oh, there were several of the angel characters had kids. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Um, I haven't read any Tolkien beyond the Lord of the Rings books and the what was the other book and the Hobbit. I never read the Silmarillion, or Unfinished Tales, or any of that stuff. But that is it. So I don't know. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to ask me about? I've just been ranting about like anime and stuff like that. Um, oh, Arwen's a descendant of an angel. Okay, well I'm proven wrong. I more than happy to admit that I'm wrong. What do you think of the new Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings series that's supposed to come out? How pause will it be? I don't know. I'm not even looking at it. I feel really bad for Henry Cavill because he's like Henry Cavill's like a giga Chad. Like he might be the biggest Chad I've ever seen in my life. He seems like a really great guy too. And it pissed me off because I thought he was a really good Geralt in The Witcher. Like I thought he did a really good job actually, but the show was just garbage. Cause like Triss is black for some reason, and it's just ugh. It just looks. I tried watching one episode and I couldn't get through it. Um, Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla. It's funny because it's literally like an Evangelion episode. Like they have to defeat the angel using like their 4D chess super plan. It's just it seems very similar to an episode of Ava. But no, Henry Cavill is like he's a massive Chad. Um, Honestly, Henry Cavill I'd say is like 10 out of 10 as a male. Um, so, what are your thoughts on the conservative movement in Canada? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, and it won't go anywhere. That's pretty much. Will I ever make a video on the Battle of Hootland? Maybe. I won't say never, but I don't have any plans to in the foreseeable future. Am I gonna take callers? No, I'm gonna probably end this relatively soon. I don't really feel like taking callers today, so my my view of what was it again? I was thinking of. I lost my train of thought there completely. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, my view of Lord of the Rings. So my view of Lord of the Rings um, is whenever I was reading it, I like to see. I like to imagine Sauron yelling "Re" at random parts throughout the series. Like when he made the dwarven rings to try to control the dwarves, and all it did was make them really greedy, and it didn't actually make them serve him. And he just, I can just picture Re like echoing throughout Mordor. Or when he tried to control the elven rings, but the elves just took off the rings, and that didn't work. I just picture him yelling Re, and just that constantly happening. I think a lot of Lord of the Rings is literally just Eru trolling Sauron because like Sauron always comes up with these amazing like master plans and they always fail because of like really stupid shit. So I tend to think a lot of the series is literally just Eru trolling people. Do you think the Catholic Orthodox schism will ever be resolved? No, I don't think. I don't think the schism will ever be resolved. To be honest, I think the idea that there's it's a schism and there isn't fundamental theological issues is kind of a meme. I think there are theological issues. I think that the Orthodox have no desire for unity with the West, and I think they should move away from what they were doing. So I think what they were trying to do for um, they were trying to do for the Orthodox was get leaders to convert, like bishops and stuff, and they wanted to try to bring whole churches back into communion. But I think they should just give up on that and try to convert individual Orthodox to the Catholic Church, to the Eastern Catholic churches. Just because I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. Um, like the Orthodox are just obsessively autistically obsessed with the filioque, and I don't think that's going to go anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, I'm just holding I'm holding Rain at the moment and just giving her a nice pat. Who's a good kitty? How do we hold keep Texas red? Okay, so I think the Republicans would be unstoppable if they would just adopt a fucking healthcare plan. Because the Republicans have no healthcare plan. I can't recall them having one like for decades. Like I don't care if it's privatization or if they want to bring in single payer, if they want to bring in a public option, but they need some sort of answer to healthcare. And I think that's the main reason people vote that way. Because Serp is often tempted to vote Democrat, and I think he has in the past because of healthcare. Um, because for a lot of people, getting sick or having an injury means they're going to be debt slaves the rest of their natural lives um, because of it. So I think a lot of people vote Democrat for that reason. Uh, so someone says that one of the so in Dune, I think the actress who plays Chani is like a mulatto or a quadroon. Keep in mind the Fremen are an ethnically diverse race. They're supposed to be like Arab, but the Dune of the future is fairly ethnically kind of mixed, just because of the scattering and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of states that they could win again, like New Mexico and Colorado, might be back in play if they just adopted a healthcare plan. I don't think Texas is as bad as people say it is because Trump did so well with Hispanics. Um, I think Texas might be a lot safer than many of us originally thought it was going to be. So I think if the Republicans continue to do pretty well with Hispanics, then things might be fairly stable there. So I just wanted to address the whole Trump lost part of the white vote thing. So Real American Politics talked about this quite a bit. So the issue is Trump does not pull well on his response to COVID. Regardless of how you feel about it, he just doesn't. People don't really think that he did a good job on it. If you look at what the white educated vote did, the number one concern of the white educated vote was COVID. I think it was something like 30% or something. Um, Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Something like 30 to 35% of the white educated class listed COVID as being the um, listed COVID as being their number one concern, and I think a lot of them voted Biden on that. If it hadn't have been that, then they probably would have been divided between healthcare and the economy. And Trump does a lot better on the economy. So Trump might have probably actually picked up college educated voters if it hadn't have been for COVID. So I think that's something you have to keep in mind whenever you're looking at it. Also, we have to wonder how accurate these exit polls are given the massive amount of voter fraud. I mean, let's just talk about the voter fraud for a minute. So I'm a simple man in a lot of ways, and I have simple ways of looking at the world. So we're supposed to expect that Trump did better in every single state. I'm pretty sure it's every state, often much, much better. Um, but he did worse in all the swing states. Like, I think he picked up something like 7 or 8 points in New York. I think he picked up steam in Florida. He got more votes in Illinois and stuff like that. But he somehow only lost ground in those specific states. It's really interesting. I think some of those states have even swung more Republican in terms of their state elections. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's about it. I just wanted to kind of come on and talk to you guys for a while. So God bless. Have a good Sunday, and more content to come.